Welcome to Buckets Live, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios here on a Saturday morning, where I am. It's like noon on the East Coast for you psychos that live on the East Coast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. Hope your Saturday is going well. This is going to be best bets for Sunday, May 4th in the association. We will do best bets for Cavs Pacers game 1, and so I can't believe this. Rockets Warriors game 7. Who knew? You know who knew? The man who knew is with us, and that's Brandon Kravitz. That man, Brandon, you faced all of us being like, no, come on, this is Warriors. Come on, this is Warriors, Brandon. There's no way. You stuck to your guns. You took Rockets. You were right. I lost my ass on last night's game. All of the team total unders, nope. Warriors, nope. I got destroyed in last night's game. Take a victory lap, Brandon Kravitz.
I will do just that. That was my biggest Buckets win yet. Not only because of the money that was placed back into the account, but also because I had to go head-to-head with 3 behemoths and face the firing squad of everybody picking the Warriors in different directions. And what I had laid out was exactly the way that this happened. This was not a fluke that the Rockets won this game. They have figured out that if they just push Golden State around, there's nothing that the Warriors can do about it. And they're playing good enough offensively to withstand the Curry runs, because Steph isn't going away, and he's certainly not going to go away in a game 7. But these guys are knocking down shots. They look unfazed, and this is where it helps having a guy like Dylan Brooks who gives 0 fucks, a guy like Steven Adams who gives even less. And Ime Udoka is a phenomenal coach. So I don't want to go into game 7 too cocky here, because it could all fall apart. Part of my cap was not just that the Rockets would cover the spread and win the game, it's that they would also win game 7 at home. So I will victory lap, because it was a good one. And maybe my best yet, but I will reserve the victory parade until the Rockets take it home in 7.
That's Brandon Kravitz. You can catch him on Twitter at Brandon Kravitz. He's live on In the Zone on 96.9 FM in Orlando. He's the Orlando Magic pregame host. He's also an analyst for RotoWire. Brian Fonseca from the New York Post Action Network. He was watching apparently the worst fight sporting event in the history of mankind last night while this was going on.
Yes.
Brian Fonseca NY on Twitter and on YouTube at Brian Fonseca. So you can catch his takes on the debacle of what happened last night in boxing. Yes.
Times Square. Yes. One of the worst sporting event of the year for various reasons that I've been talking about for what feels like at least 14 straight hours.
Were they fighting outside?
Yes. They should.
Who thought that was a good idea?
I'm not going to get into the
we're
whole
not doing the whole thing
because we have. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. But all I'm going to tell you is go on my Twitter feed. This is not meant to be self-promotion, but on Twitter and on my YouTube channel, I've already done stuff on this, and it was awful. It was terrible, and we're going to talk about some not terrible things in playoff basketball now.
Yeah, go catch Brian's reaction on his YouTube page at Brian Fonseca. All right, let's do best bets. No dilly-dallying, no messing around today. This is a Saturday. We're going to get in and out. We're going to do best bets for Pacers, Cavs, game 1 and game 7 of Warriors, Rockets. Let's go around the horn. Brandon Kravitz, I think I know. What are your best bets for Sunday in the association?
Yeah, I don't even know. Go back to Friday's episode if you want the cap on the Rockets. I'll give you a miniature version in a minute. I'll take the Rockets money line. I've already taken them to win the series, so this is me just sort of doubling down on that. I like the Pacers +8 and Tyrese Halliburton double-double at -130.
Good stuff. Brian Fonseca, your bets for Sunday.
Jimmy Butler over 23.5 points. Oh, reliable. And I'm going back and forth on this, but Miles Turner, I'll take him conservatively over 1.5 threes, which is juiced, but the over 2.5 threes is plus money by a lot. And if I've had a better week, I'd probably take the 2.5, but I'll just go with the 1.5. And I'm playing around with a couple different, we'll talk it out as we talk about Cavs Pacers. I'm playing around with a couple of different bets as it relates to the series. Don't know where I'm going to go in that regard, whether it's Cavs and 6 or 7 or just over 5.5. But I think Indiana could push them, but we'll talk it out.
I'm gonna go with Draymond Green under 6.5 rebounds. I'm gonna go, and that is gonna be my extremely cowardly ducking the hell out of Game 7, because like Brandon Anderson would be killing me right now for not taking a side in this. We'll talk about it, but God, we'll talk about it. Why? And also because of a prior position, I don't need this game, so I'm already on a side, and I don't feel the need to go any other direction on it. For Indy Cavs, I have more. Turner over 2.5 threes, plus 158 at FanDuel. Nemhard over 12.5 points, minus 105 at BetMGM. I'm also going to be on a counter corollary play of under 229.5. I'll probably look for some ways to get in on a counter correlated, an inverse correlated parlay, same game on that game as well. Once I figure that out this afternoon, I'll get it to you in the Action Network app, and we'll have it on Parlay Express, which you should be following. Okay. Let's start with the main event here, which is Rockets Warriors. Like I said, I got killed on last night's game. The entire script said, okay, all right, cool. Rockets took game 5. Warriors basically went out, got absolutely haymakered, and we're like, screw you guys, we'll get you back in the Bay. The fact that the Rockets didn't just win this game, but led for the vast majority and made the Warriors look inept was absolutely stunning to me. That I've been down talking this team on Locked On NBA, the Warriors, for months, being like, they're not that good. Like, this team is not that good. This is smoke and mirrors. But they ran up against this team in Houston where I was like, man, come on. Like Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Jabari, Alperin. No, not in their first play. No, under no circumstances. And credit to the villain, Fred VanVleet, for ruining somebody's life when I didn't have money on the line significantly on the series price for it, like he did to me back in 2019 with the Raptors and the Bucks. You want to know how mad I still am about that series, by the way? I was arguing with a former Bucks employee about the fact that series was fluky. And he was like, no, man, like they had us, like they were a better team. And I'm like, no, you were good enough to win the title. Like I'm arguing with somebody who worked for the team at that point. Fred VanVleet gets me in my feels. So I am stunned that we're at a game 7. And I'm a guy, the reason I don't have to bet this on the side is I took Rockets plus 190 on series price out of pure principle. I was like, this is an absurd price for a 2-7. There is no way you can get to this being a 2-7 matchup with this price, with the home team being plus 190. I don't care how inexperienced they are. There is an inherent gap in how these teams do. And then like the Warriors outclassed them for 4 games. And before the show, Fonseca was asking me, like, what does the history say about teams in this spot? He was like, where do we get to on the history of how teams do when they are coming back from, when they've lost 2 straight and they were up? Because I think very smartly, honestly, Brian was kind of assuming that it was like, okay, most of the time, the team that was up 3-1 winds up closing out the series. And that, my friends, is not true. If you were up 3-1 and you lose 2 straight, since 2003, you are 4-7 straight up and ATS. And you go, okay, well, what about the home away splits? If you're on the road, which the Rockets are, 3-5 ATS, 3-5 straight up. If you're the home team, that were up 3-2. Yeah, Warriors in the spot are 3-5 straight up in ATS. Rockets are 1-2 straight up ATS if they were up, but in this position, they're 5-3. Like the trends do not support the idea. Now there were 3 teams that won in the Warriors spot, so it's not this huge sample, right? Like one game goes differently, and this is 4-4. But you can't conclusively say that the team that was up 3-1 takes care of business on the road and like straightens out the nonsense. So Brandon Kravitz, give us once again a good recap of your position on why you like Rockets here and you like them to win the series before game 6.
I think they've been the better team in this series since game 2, and the results didn't always say that. They won the second game, so they were clearly better. They won by 15 in that game. And then in game 3, they let go of the rope in the fourth quarter, but they were the better team for 3 of those quarters. Then against the Warriors in game 4, they had a chance to win the game in the final couple of possessions, and Alperen Şengün missed. Fred VanVleet missed, but they still had a chance to win that one. Then they absolutely walloped the Warriors in game 5. It just felt like they had figured something out. And one of the things that they figured out was, the biggest thing is the physicality, but you'll hear that everywhere. It's the three-point shooting. The last 3 games now, they have shot at least 40% from three-point range. And really, when we matched up these teams, all we asked of the Rockets to be competitive in this series and potentially win it as a 2 seed was give us some level of requisite offense that can advance you in the playoffs. They have done that in spades, and I just think they're hitting you from more areas than where Golden State is. And this goes back to what I said in the last episode. I'm really starting to buy into this across NBA series. We saw it in the Wolves and the Lakers, is the weak link theory. You cannot survive in the playoffs with how stacked some of these rosters are if you have more than one weak link on your team at any point. So that's in the starting lineup. That is depth that you use routinely. Houston doesn't really have those, and the Warriors do. And so I think a lot of people looked and said, okay, well, you're just betting on legacy. You're betting on history, the clutch factor of Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, and I get all of that, but they still have to rely on other players that have not proven to be reliable. And credit to the Rockets, because they're young guys, and it's so hard to project when this is going to happen. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have some crystal ball. I just put my faith in what I thought was a better basketball team, and the young guys like Amen Thompson have risen to the moment, and you don't know it until you see it. And now they've shown you this the last couple of games. There's no reason at home to get away from it in game 7. So I don't think the Rockets are intimidated by history and legacy. They're not intimidated by Steph, by Draymond, by Jimmy Butler. They're simply the better team at this point. And I get a game 7 at home with a team that has proven that they have figured out Golden State. And I don't think Steve Kerr has a counterpunch to beat this team.
Yeah, so here on youtube.com/the Action Network, Beat All Odds Fantasy says Steve Kerr keeps playing 3 guards against 3 centers. It's all Kerr's fault with these lineups. Kerr comes from a school that Ty Lue is also a member of, where it's like the answer is go small, because that's when he had the most success, was like go small, go small, go small. And it's not just the death lineup, right? I'm not just going back to that. And somebody on Twitter this morning was talking about how everyone says it's small ball. It's not that. It's just playing your 5 best guys. No, I'm telling you, it's not accurate. It is not about that. It is about going small, because the idea was built around, if you're able to run the big lineups, they can't stay on the floor. If you're able to attack downhill and make those bigs guard in space, you can attack them and negate the rim protection advantage and rebounding edge. That's what it was about. One of the things that Ime Udoka deserves, I thought he got his tail kicked for 4 games of the series. This matchup zone that they're running has completely flummoxed Golden State. Because what they're doing is they're playing 2-3 tilted, right? So strong side, it all morphs to that side. And the bigs are moving way further up in those actions to be able to provide more help on drives. And because of the physicality, all of this kind of plays a part into how they're able to kind of shut down some of the actions. By running this 2-3 zone and then tilting it, what they're able to do would be more like an amoeba, where it's like they flow and then they flow back, and their guys are psychos and run around like this. All of the off-ball motion offense principles of Golden State are negated, and their offense wasn't good to begin with. Like they are trying to run a motion offense with inexperienced players and Buddy Hield. And that's why the offense hasn't been bad in general. To let you know the proof of that, this number stunned me last night. The Golden State Warriors right now in non-garbage time in the playoffs have the 12th rated half-court offense. That includes teams in the play-in tournament. They are worse than Houston. Houston's 10th. Houston has a better half-court offense over the course of this series than the Golden State Warriors. Like, Golden State's offense is in serious trouble. Now, the problem for Brandon is just like Steph Curry could just like hit 9 threes. Like, that could just, like, you can guard him.
I think that if you like the Rockets here, if you're with me, you think they're going to win, but Steph terrifies you, you could hedge this with a Steph over. His point total is probably 25 and a half. Just take Rockets money line. Don't parlay this. Right. Rockets money line with Curry over points. There's a chance that you win the money line bet and the points bet. But if you lose the money line bet, I guarantee you're hitting the points bet. So that is another way to look at this, because of course Steph Curry terrifies me. He should terrify everybody. The problem is that it feels like him and Jimmy Butler are doing it by themselves, and that's not good enough against this loaded Rockets team. Udoka just has too many arrows in the quiver at this point in the series.
I'm looking this up because I want to see what it looks like. Okay, so Rockets money line is minus 142. And Warriors money line and Steph 30 plus points is plus 325.
That's a way to play this.
Now, the problem is, like, I will do that, and then what will happen is Steph Curry will score 29 points and a Warriors win. that is what will happen.
You do with 25 points.
But let's take a look at what the 25 looks like. 25 plus and a Warriors win at DK is plus 198. So it's minus 142, minus 198. You can get yourself a little bit of an arbitrage there. So two people in the chat are asking. Riley says, is Kuminga going to have a redemption game? And Cody says, will we see Kuminga and Looney tomorrow?
I think you have to see Looney. They have to come up with an answer to the size that double big lineup that the Rockets are throwing at them. They have no answer to that, and Looney gives them the best chance. But I don't really like that either. So that just everything points me to Houston.
Yeah, do we actually think that Steve Kerr, who does not want to play Jonathan Kuminga at all, is going to turn to him in a game 7? Yeah, that's like, is that the adjustment?
Okay, all right. So, this is the idea. Okay, it's not unprecedented. And actually, oh god, this is really funny. The last guy to do something like this that I can remember is Terry Stotts. In the 2019 Blazers Nuggets series, Game 7 on the road. Nuggets had him on the ropes. It was looking like it was going to be Nuggets. They had crawled back into the series. The Blazers had won like this quadruple overtime game where Jokic played like 60 some odd minutes.
Was this a CJ McCollum game?
Yeah. Well, McCollum series. He was great in that series.
Yeah.
And so, like, it looked like the Nuggets were on the ropes, and then they climb back and they win game 4 and game 5. Blazers win game 6. It's game 7 at home with the Nuggets. It looks like the Nuggets are going to win. And Stotts, who is currently an assistant on the Golden State Warriors, funnily enough, deploys Myers Leonard and Evan Turner. Like, they actually could match CJ McCollum's production, but Evan Turner hit a bunch of jump shots and Myers Leonard hit 2 threes. And that was your ball game. Like, it was literally like this little stretch of bench play was what the separation was in that game. So there's precedent for basically keeping a guy out and then just throwing him in there and being like, go get him. Typically, though, honestly, here's one of my things is it's not fair to Jonathan. As much as I have concerns about Jonathan's approach with various things, given how things have gone in Golden State. If you throw him out there in a game 7 when he hasn't played meaningful basketball in what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month? Like he's been out of the rotation. It is not fair to throw that guy in there. Now, this is sports, and a great story would be Jonathan Kuminga comes in and makes a huge difference. Looney, I think, is actually like a really interesting one from Kravitz. Like that might actually be something that we should maybe like consider is like, hey, Looney might play. And if Looney does play, who plays less for Golden State and taking that under is something you should think about, but I just don't know who that is. Like they're not going to play Draymond less. So it's like, what guard are they going to play less instead of Kevon Looney if they play him or Kuminga? Like, who plays less in that case? I think one of them probably plays.
I mean,
but I don't know who it is.
Buddy Hield is trying. Like, Buddy Hield is actively trying to play less and less minutes.
That's true.
But Buddy Hield, by the way, who was a 2016 top 10 draft pick, who never played in a playoff game until last season, who has 10 career playoff games and probably 2 good ones. He's kind of like new Julius Randle now, in terms of like, you've been in the league this long and you don't have a playoff moment, except Julius Randle now has had a playoff series worth talking about with the Lakers. Buddy Hield hasn't really had that. He's had one good game this postseason. And Buddy Hield is a candidate for me where he's a guy, and Riley Lopez comments bye Hield. Buddy Hield is a guy for me where I look up and I wouldn't be surprised game 7. 1, I don't really expect him to start. I'd be surprised if he did. But 2, as much as they're going to need the shooting, I wouldn't be surprised if he just doesn't play at all. Like, I could see him getting a DNP CD after the series he's had, especially these last couple of games.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So we've talked about the way the series has gone in games like that, and I don't want to overreact, right? Because you get caught in recency bias. I will say, like, I think Kravitz is right that there's a very good chance the Rockets win this game in the series. Like, that they needed to get game 6, and I didn't think they were going to get game 6, and they got game 6 because they got all over the Warriors' backside. I mean, they were all over them in that game. But Brian, you're going to trust your guy, the legend. The golden calf.
The golden calf.
The golden calf. Jimmy Butler. You like the over on his points. Tell me why.
It's 23.5. Some places already have 24.5. So I guess 25 plus is fine. It's simple for me. He's played 4 full games in this series, and he's gotten over or 25 plus points on 3 of them. The 8-point performance that he had against the Rockets in game 5, as we talked about already, was a blowout loss. It was like an unconventional game. They just got their ass whooped. Nothing was working, and they pulled everybody early. He only played 25 minutes. Game 1 came out the gate with 25 and 42 minutes. Game 2 gets hurt, so only plays 8 minutes. Game 3 doesn't play. Game 4 has 27 points, plays 40 minutes. And then the last game, obviously, had 27, 42 minutes. To much of your chagrin, Matt, he's getting the whistle. In a couple of these last 3 games, 2 of the last 3 games he's played, he's gotten double-digit free throw attempts and is making double-digit amount of free throws. I feel like that's helpful. And ultimately, because of what Brandon was saying in terms of where else are you going to get points from Golden State, I think there's a world where, and I wonder what this would be, if you want to get really like sicko with this, you can do as a parlay. I'm not going to play this, but I wonder what this would be. Steph to get 30, Jimmy to get 25, Golden State to win. Like, I think that's probably the formula they're going to have is Jimmy gets his, Steph gets his, you get enough from other guys on the roster. Like, maybe Quentin Post still plays and hits a couple of threes. Maybe there's a switch to Jonathan Kuminga, which I would be less surprised, having talked it out now, than I was prior. But other guys are going to have to do something. But Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler continue to combine for like half of Golden State's offensive production, sometimes more. Like last night, it was actually more. They combined for 56 points. And it's like, Jimmy's also done this in game 7s in the past against Boston and closeout games against Milwaukee and Philly. So 25 plus, I feel like, is very doable for Jimmy Butler.
Plus 750 is what I see for the 3-leg parlay.
Steph to get 30, Jimmy to get 25, Golden State to win.
Correct.
7-1 at DK.
I think I'm going to hedge with that.
Even Steph at 25, Jimmy at 25, Golden State to win is probably 5-1 or something like that.
That's 7.
So, oh really?
Oh wait, Steph 25. You said?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll pull it back. 25.
It's gonna be 5
Steph
or 6.
25, Jimmy 25. Warriors win is plus 430.
430. Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, that's enough.
Yeah, Brandon, not aggressive enough. I like that.
Yeah, do 30, 25, and 7-1. That might be a fun ticket.
Man. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, Butler's going to continue to score because he's going to grift his way. The Rockets are going to foul, and Jimmy's going to grift his way to the line, and that's what they're going to do. That's just what's going to happen. But the real question is just like, can Steph hit really tough threes? Because some of these threes that he's taking are just
absurd. Yeah.
They're absurd. So, okay, let's talk Cavs Pacers. And
Beetle Oz Fantasy says I had that last night and lost, but hit on the points. Yeah, I had Jimmy's PRA, and then I had Jimmy to get, it was 20 or 25 points, and Warriors to win. But the parlay didn't hit, but Jimmy hit the PRA. So
yeah. Okay, so let's do Cavs Pacers, and let's do side first. So Brandon, you like Pacers +8 here?
Yeah, I think going from playing the Cancun Heat to the Pacers is going to be a tough adjustment for Cleveland. They'll be fine series-wise. I haven't played the series. If I did, I'd probably be on what Brian is going to pitch to us about a Cavs in 6, Cavs in 7. But the Pacers matched up well with this team in the regular season. Some of this is smoke and mirrors. The 1-3 that the Cavs were against Indiana, they played them twice at the end of the year, and the Cavs had already locked things up. But Indiana likely has to come in and punch them in the mouth in order for this to cash. I don't think they can get off to a slow start here. And that's part of my cap is that adjustment of having to go up against a team that's actually real and functioning and can score points and is interested, which is not something they faced for the last 4 games. So I think Pacers +2.5 in the first quarter isn't a bad look either, but I think this is a strong Pacers spot. Indiana was an 8.5-point underdog back in January when these two teams met fully healthy, and the total was 10 points higher than it is now. The Pacers won that game, and they did so without Tyrese Hallebertton, who got hurt just a couple of minutes in. So I think I'm getting value on the 8. I believe I'm contractually obligated to take the money line with it as well, so I will sprinkle a third of a unit on that. I'm likely going to be right back on the Cavs in game 2. If I nail this, I think the Cavs will come back and smash. I like the Pacers to cover the spread.
Yes, you are in fact obligated by the Matt Mitchell rule to take the money line because
I'm good with it. Already placed.
I'll hit you with the numbers. Round 2, dogs in game 1 that cover 28-12, 70% straight up. They win the game outright 70% of the time if they cover. Okay. So I'm staying away from side on this because I make this right on the number. Like I am dead on power rating. I was curious about the idea of the jump in competition because that's where I kind of lean to is like there's usually a drag of, okay, you were dominant, so the market has overestimated you. They bumped you up because you just annihilated these teams and looked like the best team in the world. But now you have to play a serious team. What does that look like? So what I looked at if you are coming off of back-to-back 20-point blowouts, you're home and you're favored for game 1 of any round. There's only been 6 games. Straight up 4-2, which is not what you would expect. You'd expect it to be higher than that. 3-3 ATS. Let's take off the home and favored portion of this, just back-to-back 20-point blowouts. And we're at 8-7 straight up, 7-8 ATS. The key takeaway for me there is that there's no determining factor of the blowouts. And that makes sense to me because the Cavs might be overestimated here based off of, and might be a little soft after playing that Heat team. But they also just might be that good. Like they might just be that dominant. The 7 wins is no, like they're just better. And the 8 losses is, yeah, like the other team was better than this line got out of hand in particular. Now here's what I want to know is if you coming off of 20-point favorites or 20-point games and you're favored and you win the game outright 4-0 straight up, 3-1 ATS. So this is kind of the key here is like, if you're favored and you win this game, you cover 3-1. But this is still a tiny sample of 2003. So I get the idea. I get the cap of it. I think, some of the Danny Cunningham of Locked On Cavaliers said this, and Tony East agreed with him from Locked On Pacers that, and most people have said this, you have to like none of the games in the regular season can you take anything away from. The last 2 were nonsense. Last 2 games of the season, Cavs didn't play anybody. They didn't play Garland or Mitchell. Hallie played like 18 minutes in the first game, and the second game was not full strength, no Hallie. And basically, the big takeaway I had in the series preview, which you can check out in the feed, is the Cavaliers starters, when they play together, killed this team. They killed them. They destroyed them. Like, if they have their guys, they annihilated their minutes, and the problem is, like, in the playoff game, you're going to see mostly the starters, and the bench is going to have to make up so much ground versus fewer mixed lineups, because the Cavs will also play. Not only are the Cavs going to play starters more, but by playing starters more, you get more mixed starter lineups, and that's going to make it, I think, difficult as well. So I can't get there. I don't want to lay the 8, but I don't want Pacers +8 either. This is definitely a wait and see game. Now, Brian and I are oppo on the total. So Fonseca, give me the cap on why you like the over in this game.
That's Brandon.
I thought it was you. I thought you
No.
were the one that was on the
No,
over.
Wait, what?
I don't think I've played a single playoff total outside of Knicks Pistons under.
I could have sworn you were.
I'm not on the total.
Neither is he, so it's just me. So I'll play the under 229.5 here. I have a bunch of props that are over, but they're role players. Turner, 2.5 3-pointers made, plus 158. We talked about this on the preview. Like, the trigger actions for how they're going to defend Hallebertton are going to lead to Turner threes, whether it's him off ball in the corner, which they got to regularly in the regular season. He had a high number of attempts in the regular season versus this team and very few makes, which I think the book is the projections are basing this off of what was your conversion rate versus what was your attempt rate. And he's going to get even more with more minutes. Also, if they run 1-5 Hallie Turner and they blitz Hallebertton, like I think they're going to, and that's going to play into my conversation with Brandon here in a minute, that pick and pop action at the top is a very easy one for Hallie to make, and he can generate those. I'll also be on Turner scoring over, just because what I noticed was Nembhard Turner and Siakam Turner, actually, they just switched it. And then Turner gets post ups, and they will trust Miles enough to score inside. So, like, Miles, I think, is I from my perspective of what I saw when I did the film research and just thinking about it too, just thinking this out, you have to, on a certain level, be like, we can't take away everything. Let's take away Hallebertton and Siakam. Turner can score. Turner and Nembhard are the guys that can score. They're going to play drop versus Nembhard. That's what they did with Garland on him. They'll do that even if they put a better defender on him. So Nembhard over 12.5 points. He's just going to be able to hit mid-range jumpers. He should have hit this more versus the Bucks, honestly. He had enough attempts. He just shot poorly. I think he'll be more comfortable, honestly, versus this set with this specific team. So I like the over 12.5 points, minus 105 at BetMGM. But I like the under, because the underrated part of both of these teams is their defense. The Cavaliers' differences with Mobley on-off is massive in terms of the net rating differential. It's one of the reasons it was a good case for his DPOY, even though I don't do on-off stuff for awards, but it's very notable that, like, when Mobley is on the floor, they have defended like people think the Warriors with Draymond Green defend like. Hashtag Brandon Anderson. So I think this is going to be an under game. I think this is going to be more sluggish. Pacers defense is underrated. I think they actually will slow down this Cavs offense. I think that's where, if you're right, Kravitz, on the +8, it's going to be because the Pacers offense is able to slow down this ungodly Cavs offense. And all of a sudden, their adjustment of going from easy shots to difficult shots is what drags us down and gets this inside the number and potentially gets the Pacers a chance to win the game. So I like under 229.5 along with those props. Now you like Hallebertton double-double. Tell me why.
Yes. Can I ask you 2 questions about this before we get to my cap, before I forget to throw this your way?
Yep.
Can you explain? I feel like you do a better job at this. Part of my cap on Pacers +8 is that I feel like the odds makers have adjusted the total properly to account for the postseason. They haven't adjusted the spread. And I feel like there's a bit of a misstep there. How do you bake that in at all to the thought process, and why is that one number would adjust by 10 points? The last time these two teams met full strength, the number was at like 238.5. We've dropped that number by 10. We haven't moved the spread at all. I feel like there's some misalignment there.
So a lot of this, I think, is actually built off of player base too with them, where they're going to have a power rating, but that power rating is going to be influenced by both a overall team model, because theirs are pretty complicated from what I understand. It's not like they're letting me under the hood, but it's built off of both. When I've asked, it's built off of both team and player projection stuff. So again, we kind of get back to who's going to play more, right? If you're going to play Evan Mobley 42 minutes and you're going to play, or 38 minutes even versus 33, and you're going to play Jared Allen 38 minutes, which we'll see if they can do that. That's going to be a test in the series. And you're going to play your better defenders, DeAndre Hunter. If you're going to play DeAndre Hunter and Max Strus more than you're going to play Dean Wade, who, again, plus minus God Dean Wade, ATS God Dean Wade. Nothing but respect on this podcast for Dean Wade. But he also got flambéed because they switched in the regular season. The other thing is on playoffs, I did some research on this, and possession data is basically down about 20%. You play, that's the gap in how much the percentage, that's the drop that you see, and offense is down about 8%. So you have better offense, but you have slower games. But the power rating, I still think, is going to determine the most of what you're going to wind up seeing with that spread. So even though I do not think that this is like a double-digit spread in the regular season with more possessions, I think that this is still going to be based off of where the power rating winds up. Now, I could be wrong on that. Like, I'm open to being wrong on these type of things. But that to me is kind of where this gets to. Yes, and if you're expecting a very low possession game, which I don't know if you can get there with Indiana because they are going to try and run. But if you can get there with this being a lower possession game, but I would actually kind of argue the opposite. If this is a low possession game, I think the Cavs strangle them out and get separation. If it's the Pacers are able to push pace and this is a higher possession game, I think the Pacers' chances of winning go up because now the Cavs are not playing their game, they're playing Indiana's. So that would be my kind of more advanced cap on that.
Yeah, the interesting thing with these two is that both of their half-court defenses have been really good. The other question was about power ratings in the playoffs, because at this point in the year, the odds makers aren't going to miss on power rating spreads properly. It feels like in the middle of the regular season, your ratings and what you see on the point spread could be way off. Players missing that maybe you calibrate it properly, they don't, or there's just misalignment there. It feels like this time of year, because I don't make my own numbers like you do, but I rely on Dunks and Threes and other analytics sites that are out there that do a really good job with this stuff. Everything is so tight and on the money that I feel like at this time in the year, for me, I become more of a qualitative better than quantitative, because I just have to go off of what I see. All the numbers are exactly where they're supposed to be in pretty much all of these games.
Yeah, Dunks and Threes is putting this one at, I'm looking, they do not have up tomorrow's, oh, there we go. They are putting this one at Cavs -6, which one of the things with why I'm at this is I'm giving this a little bit heavier of a home court advantage, because that's historically been the number that I did based off the research I did. It came up with a heavier number. I'm honestly not really comfortable with it. Like, if we did normalized home court, if we just gave them 2.5, just like, hey, regular season's about 1.5 these days because it's gone away so much over in all sports over the last couple of years. Let's give them another point for playoffs, 2.5. If we get there, then I would be on Pacers +8. I would not be able to get to Cavs -8, but because I'm using a heavier home court advantage, I'm able to get to this number, and I'm still kind of seeing how those results are going this year because it's a new approach for me. But I will say, I think I have the Pacers as extremely highly power rated. Like, they're very highly power rated for me. And I've given them a bump based off of how they've looked in the postseason. And I'm still at this number because that's how good I think the Cavs are. The real question is just like, do you think the Cavs are as good as their numbers? That I think has to be a starting point for anybody that does this, is like, you can think the Pacers are really good, but you better think that the Cavs are not as good as their numbers to be able to get here. Because that to me is where I kind of get to on this.
Well, we all appreciate the education. I feel like that stuff at this point in the season is important to understand for all of us. So as far as Tyrese Hallebertton goes, double-double, -130, loves the Cavs defense, but they do have one vulnerability, and it's in the backcourt. I think Hallebertton should be able to produce in this series. The Cavs are likely going to switch Mobley onto Siakam as much as possible, and if Jared Allen winds up on Hallebertton, then I think Tyrese should be able to maneuver around that problem. History-wise, this also bodes well. The last 6 times he has played a full game against the Cavs, so we're taking out that January 12th game that we just talked about. He has been in double figures in both points and assists. Also, we've seen the Pacers assisting in the last series. They assisted on 69% of their makes, the highest mark so far in the postseason. So this is right in line with the Cavs' one defensive vulnerability and what the Pacers have been thriving on in this matchup and so far in the playoffs.
So one thing to consider, I talked about this in the series preview. I'm not trying to warn you off of it because I could be wrong. Like lots of times I'll be like, they're going to do it this way. And the coaches are like, no, you idiot. But they blitzed Halle with Allen. That's what they did, is they did not put him in drop or high drop. They put him at the level and they blitzed the ever-loving snot out of him. So their entire ethos defensively was Tyrese Hallebertton doesn't get to have the ball. Like, no matter what we get to do, Halle has to get rid of the ball. Now, transition, you can get home on this easy. Like, if the Cavs transition defense isn't as good as it needs to be, then Hallebertton in open court can generate a double-double pretty easily. They're going to try and take away his scoring and, honestly, his like direct playmaking. What they don't want to do is they don't want to put him in a situation where people help over and then he's kicking to those shooters. That's not what he wants. Not what they want. So what I told Brandon Anderson was, I don't know how the mechanisms are going to work if they blitz him, who winds up with the assist, whether it's Halle reversing the court to the weak side corner, kicking up to Turner in the pick and pop, if it's him finding cutters. When they switch, he's going to annihilate them and get assists. He did that over and over and over again. They gave him the Dean Wade switch. He went right by him, got in the teeth of the defense. The team collapsed, and he was either kicking to shooters or finding cutters in the teeth of the defense because Halle's one of the best passers in the league. Like, in my humble opinion, Tyrese Hallebertton is the second best passer in the NBA right now behind Nikola Jokic. That's how good he is. Not just in terms of his vision, but his placement. When he puts that ball he puts it in your hands wherever you're trying to score. Like, it's in the pocket if you're shooting. It's in your hands if you're going up for a dunk. Like, it is perfect every single time. So I don't know whether those assists are going to be there or not. Game one is a very interesting test. I think it's worth like testing this, but I am just kind of curious about what happens because so many guys, when you force that blitz, it takes them a little while to get used to it. And the Bucks didn't do it because the Bucks are coached by Doc Rivers. And that's a whole other thing. So, Fonseca, you like Cavs in 6, Cavs in 7 for a series price here. Give me that one before we get out of here.
I'm thinking about it. But first, I actually want to ask, if you like the Pacers in game 1, shouldn't you bet Pacers game 1 Cavs series at plus 400?
That's not a bad idea. I haven't really put a lot of thought into that, so I don't have a fully formed rebuttal to it, but you got the wheels turning.
I just saw it because, I mean, I think Cleveland's going to win this series. I also wonder how much the number would change if the Pacers do have a good game 1, if it would change at all.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Teams that went on the road in game 1, second round. Let's just do second round. 30-12, 71% of the time they win the series. So your numbers, I don't know if they'll go to dogs. It'll probably go something close to even on the series price.
Oh, that'd be great.
See, I think I'd rather just do that because I'm only betting Pacers money line because it's essentially a rule that I respect on bucket.
Because Matt Mitchell will throw you out of a building if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still the new guy, Brian. I have to respect.
Smart.
I have to respect the foundation that has been set before I was welcomed onto this podcast.
I want to correct this because I forgot the site that I use, whowins.com, refers to the conference finals as the semis. In the quarterfinals, which is what this is actually the semifinals was what they call it. Anyway, in this round, second round, 140-25, 85% of the time they win outright. So if the
Pro
Pacers
game 1 winner.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Oh,
that means it's inevitably happened to the top seed.
I have to do another correction because I'm an idiot. That's for teams with home court advantage. If you're on the road, this is the one you want, Brian. This is it. This is the one.
Yes.
On the road, second round, you win game 1. I swear to God, this is the right number. I got it finally. 31-32. They lose the series more often than they win. So what you want Pacers to lose game 1 or to win game 1 and then bet Cavs on the series price.
Yes. Yes. I mean, you could also, if you want right now, Pacers game one, Cavs to win series plus 400 at one particular book. So I just want to, I think Indiana's good. And I think Cleveland is awesome. I was staring actually at Cleveland right now, plus 175 to come out of the East. But I think that's a price you can wait on that will get better if and when they do play Boston in the next round. At the same time, I think Indiana can get a couple games here and push this to potentially 6. So I'm playing with the idea of Cavs and 6 at plus 420. This is the same bet that I had for Knicks Pistons, albeit for very different reasons. And the jump in competition is one, but also the way Indiana's playing, the way they took care of Milwaukee, even the collapse in game 5, and then just to come back the way that they did. And Milwaukee is very much a fractured team. But I think Indiana right now, at least at this moment, is the third best team in the Eastern Conference. I say that as a New Yorker who is literally doing a watch along for every single Knicks game. Indiana's better right now, just all around better. And Cleveland, I think this is a tougher matchup for them than like the Knicks would be, for example, because of what Indiana can do in terms of the variety of their offense, the way they can generate points. I think Miles Turner, we're both on his threes. I think he's going to be essential this series in terms of his stretchability against that front court of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And because the Cavs want to blitz Tyrese Halliburton and not let him shred their defense. Not that he would if he had the ball all the time, but you don't want to take your chances. It makes Miles Turner's three-point shooting essential. So I think that's why I'm going to be on his threes. I like 3 series leader. I don't know if he's going to do that, but I'm actually going to see what this is. Series total made threes. Miles Turner's plus 1,000 to get that. I don't know if he's going to do that. I don't know if he's going to have enough volume to overcome like a Donovan Mitchell, for example, but it's a fun long shot given what we're talking about in terms of how this could play out stylistically.
Give me the numbers for Cavs and 6, Cavs and 7.
Cavs and 6 right now, because it has moved since we started. It's plus 420. Cavs and 7 is plus 370. I like 6 a lot more than 7. But I wouldn't be surprised. And also, it should be mentioned, like, Darius Garland has not practiced. We just got a report as we were doing this. He's considered day-to-day. He hasn't played in a couple games. That's, it's not the worth. I don't know how much he's worth to the spread, the series, whatever. I think they could win it without him. But, I mean, I don't think that's nothing.
It's not nothing. Sure. I have a question for you. Okay, so plus 150 is your implied on those 2 bets. Pacers plus 2.5, which gets you those 2 outcomes, plus Pacers in any situation in which they win outright, is minus 150. You're just pretty certain that Cavs are going to win. You want to narrow it to Cavs win, but Pacers hang.
Yes.
Okay. Because that's the difference here in the plus 2.5 versus the Cavs and 6, Cavs and 7, is you're limiting it to the Pacers are going to win 2 and only 2.
And the over 5.5 games for the series is minus 120. But to me, it's not that worth it because I think Cleveland's going to win. Whereas in last round, there were a couple series where I was like over 5.5 because I'm not sure. Like, for example, Clippers Nuggets. I still don't know who's going to win game 7, but I felt good about it going beyond 5.5 games. Same thing with Rockets Warriors. I don't know who's going to win game 7. I kind of feel like Brandon's talked me into the Rockets a little bit, but I'm still likely going to do the fun parlay, and I might hedge with the Steph, Jimmy 30-25 and the Warriors money line because it's plus 7, whatever the fuck. And who cares at that point? Like, I'll do something on that.
Can I speak to the bet on the over 5.5 games? Because my biggest mistake in round 1 that I will be kicking myself for the rest of the postseason. I really liked the Timberwolves against the Lakers, but I had already, in terms of the series price, but I had already placed a Pistons bet over the Knicks. I had already placed Clippers at plus money over the Nuggets. And that would have been the third one. I thought maybe I'm getting too cute with these underdogs. So let me take this a different route. And I took series over 5.5 games. But in my mind, that was a bet on Minnesota. but it's not actually a bet on Minnesota. It's a bet on, and so I lost the bet. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, I capped this series perfectly, and I didn't bet it properly, and that will kill me for the rest of the playoffs. That I actually lost money on that series, and I never believed in the LA Lakers.
Yeah, and I've done this before too, and I think I've done it this round too. It's something that I always forget, which is just like, look, you need to leave open the possibility that you are so right. Like, this is the thing.
Right.
Like, you know, I think about things opposite, which is I'm like, well, I like this team, but surely the other team's going to win 2 games. Are they? Like, open yourself up to this is one of the things that I think Brandon Anderson does so well. It's one of the reasons his ROI is so good. Is like Brandon's like, if I'm right, I'm way right. And if I'm right, what if I'm all the way right? What if I'm so right?
Yeah, he's the best at that.
The other way. And I'm always caught on the other end of it because I'm like, well, I'm not going to be that right. Like, it's not like I think the so-and-so I don't think the so-and-so is better than this team. It's not like they're going to win in 5 games. It was a sweep, right? Like you lose out on those kind of situations. You lose ROI even if you win the bet at +2.5. If the team that you bet +2.5 sweeps them, like, yes, you won, but you lost out on all that ROI. So I think it's important. All right, that's Brian for second. And why?
Let me give you one more before we get out of here.
We gotta get
one more. Cavs up 2-1 after 3 games is +106.
Okay,
and I think that's the one that I like the most. This is the same bet that I had for Knicks. Same bet I had for another series where the team that I like, I took them up 2-1 because it's like I like them, but not that much after 3 games. And it's usually plus money.
I will go ahead and give this out because they're not going to shift the market on it. Game 3 is an overtime bet for me. So I have this projected at 1.
Plus 230, one plus overtime game in the series also is available.
I'm going to miss because I bet that for Nuggets Clippers, and think about how many we've had close to overtime in that series. I got 1, but I might get the 2. All right. Thanks for joining us. That's Brandon Kravitz. You can catch him on the Game in the Zone. You can catch Brian Fonseca NY on Twitter and on YouTube for his coverage of the worst fight ever. I'm at HB Basketball. My thanks to David Payne for getting this up on the audio side. We'll see you guys again on Sunday night, 10:30 Eastern, for recap on the weekend and looking ahead to Monday's best bets with the future Jays. Till next time. Oh, let's get buckets.